This program is based on his bestseller, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. And now, Deepak Chopra.
Thank you. It's a great privilege, a great honor to be speaking to all of you today. And today's topic is going to be the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. And you might ask why success. I think it's obvious that success is a universal desire. I don't know of anyone who doesn't want to be successful. But a lot of people, even though they want to be successful, don't have a very clear notion or can't even define what success is. So I think we should, first of all, be very clear about what success is. I think success has many components. Success can be defined as the progressive realization of worthy goals. It has been said by psychologists and scientists that the human mind, the human nervous system, is a goal-seeking organism. Success is also the fulfillment of our desires, because we have a number of desires, a number of kinds of desires. We have material desires for wealth and affluence. We have physical desires, which include good health, vitality, clarity of thinking, a feeling of buoyancy, energy. We have emotional desires, which include loving relationships, which include psychological stability, peace of mind, creative freedom. We have spiritual desires, which means that we recognize at some level of our being that there's another dimension to reality, that this is not all there is, that which we see and touch and hear and taste and smell, that there is a higher self. We have an intuitive feeling about that. And we have a yearning somewhere deep inside that we want to touch that higher dimension of ourselves. So success includes the fulfillment of all these desires as well. And finally, I think success is the progressive expansion of the state of happiness. Because you can be a superb scientist, you can have all the money in the world, and yet you can be a miserable person. And by our definition of success, then, you're not really successful. Having defined success in that way, I think it becomes obvious that if you go on the street and ask people, are they successful by this definition, you'll find that very few people are successful. So why is that? Why, by this definition, we find very few people who are really successful? I think the answer is that our culture, our social indoctrination, and even our history has set the idea or given us the idea that success depends on hard work, that it depends on exacting plans, that it depends on driving ambition. This is the ethic we've all been brought up with. And whilst hard work and exacting plans and driving ambition, and we know a lot of people with that, can help you acquire some material success, there's a big price for that. There's a big price for that. The price is hypertension and cardiovascular disease and heart attacks and strokes and divorce and addictions. And that's why we see that on the road to success, many people succumb to ill health, get cancer, or die before they reach their goal. So I think we need a new approach to success, and this new approach is what we're going to talk about. It's new in a sense, and yet it's very ancient. We must first of all understand that success is a journey and not a destination. And that success comes about through a proper understanding of who we really are, a truer understanding of reality. We're not just a physical machine that has learned how to manufacture thoughts. We are not just human bodies with occasional spiritual experiences. A true understanding of ourselves includes an understanding of human existence as a continuum of body, mind, soul, spirit, and environment. And I think if you watch the last PBS special that we did, Body, Mind, and Soul, you may be familiar with this diagram. I talked at length about this in that last lecture that I gave. But just to very quickly recapitulate what has been said before, we are a body which is made up of matter and energy. We are an ego, intellect, and mind, so-called subtle body. And we are a soul and a spirit. Our real self is comprised of all these different layers of existence. And once we understand the mechanics through which pure consciousness or spirit transforms itself into the soul, and then into the ego and the intellect and the mind, and then ultimately the body through which we experience the world, once we have that understanding, that is the understanding of spiritual law. Because spiritual law is nothing other than that law which allows the sequential unfoldment of the unmanifest into the world of the manifest. It is the spontaneous flow of intelligence, the spontaneous flow of energy and information. And it exists in everything that's alive, whether it's a blade of grass or a human body or a cell in a human body or a flower or an insect. You see this flow of intelligence, this animating force of life, that as it unfolds from within itself, it begins to create everything in existence, the world of form and phenomenon. And this brings us to the very first law of success, which is the law of pure potentiality. The law of pure potentiality says that in my essential state, I'm spirit. That the spirit may be abstract and mysterious and magical and incomprehensible and ineffable, undefinable, but it's real. And it's my internal reference point. People have used other words to define this ultimate ground of creation, which I'm calling the spirit, the implicate order from where everything emerges. David Bohm, an eminent physicist, has called it the implicate order where everything is unfolded from, the explicate order being that world of form and phenomenon. Scientists, physicists call it the unified field. Our subjective experience of it is that when we know it, when we experience it, we feel pure joy, pure knowledge, pure silence, perfect balance. We feel we are invincible. There is simplicity in it. There is bliss in it. And when this becomes our internal reference point, when we carry the consciousness of this wherever we go, then we are no longer object referral. Object referral means the ego is no longer our internal reference point. We're not so easily influenced by others. We're not so easily affected by criticism. We're not so fearful of challenges because we know that our source is the source of everything in creation. In order to get in touch with this field of pure potentiality, we have to spend time with it, which means we have to spend time with ourselves. You wouldn't spend time, an entire lifetime with a stranger, and yet people spend an entire lifetime with strangers, and that stranger is their inner self. That stranger is their inner self. When we get to this inner self, and I put this other diagram here to show you that this inner self is the source of everything. It is where there is the generation of creative process in the stillness of the mind. It is the organization and the dynamism of the stillness of the spirit, which we call the mind. And it is the delivery and doing in the world of form and phenomenon, which is done through the body. So when we want to know ourselves as the totality of everything, then we have to know it as that mind which creates everything in existence. It's the source of creation. It's pure consciousness, our essential nature. If we align with that power, we align with the power that creates everything in the universe. And in order to do that,